Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to today's formal meeting of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. Great to see everyone here today. We will start off, as we always do, with the roll call. Madam Clerk.
Good morning. Supervisor Sellers.
Here.
Supervisor Galvin.
Here.
Supervisor Hickman.
Here.
Supervisor Gallardo.
Here.
Chairman Gates.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We always start our meetings with the prayer and pledge, and we sort of spread it around the dais here, ask different members of the board to invite folks from their district to come in and lead us in the prayer and pledge. And today, that responsibility falls to Supervisor Galvin. So if you could please introduce your guest.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have the distinct honor of introducing my good friend and a great man, Brian Murray, on this very important day that we'll be discussing later on. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. And if everyone can please rise if you're able.
Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you generously give our board members wise and discerning hearts to skillfully govern the people in our city. Give our elected leaders of Arizona the wisdom so that they may solve problems, distinguish between right and wrong, and bring order, stability, and prosperity to our community. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to turn it to Supervisor Galvin for some comments.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Brian Murray here is a near and dear friend of mine, very good friend. But unfortunately, the reason why I asked Brian to come here today is because Brian's 21-year-old daughter was murdered on an Air Force base after only serving the Air Force for about 6 weeks. She volunteered to sign up and serve her country, but unfortunately, she was the victim of a domestic violence situation. In fact, it was a murder-suicide. Her murderer committed suicide upon this dreadful act. And what I have seen Brian endure with his family the last couple of years is not only the fact that Natasha was a beautiful young lady who was cut down too soon, was that she was a graduate of Chandler High School. Brian right now is a resident of Levine. So people across the valley mourn her and miss her. But it also shows this desperate and horrible situation we have in the United States. And it really opened up the situation of how even our own military cannot protect service members. There's a very good article in Elle magazine which laid out what happened to Natasha and how after only dating someone for a couple of weeks that he became her killer. And so I'm going to ask Brian here, who's been fighting for justice on behalf of Natasha. First of all, I want to thank so much County Attorney Rachel Mitchell, who met with him this morning so he could talk to her about his story and what he hopes and plans to do in justice for her and all victims. But I want Brian to talk about Natasha, his family situation, and what he would like to see to happen going forward here in Maricopa County and the United States. Brian, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I want to thank Tom and Dan Gardner for inviting me here today. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, so I'm just going to say a few words. Everyone in this room knows someone or has or is going through domestic violence, whether you know it or not. The one thing that has stayed with me through this tragedy with my daughter is a number of women, friends, former coworkers that have come forward telling me about their own issues with domestic violence, and a lot of them did this in silence. My message is simple. Take the time to reach out to a friend or coworker who you know is going through something. Sometimes all it takes is a friend or a colleague to lend an ear to. You may help change the trajectory of somebody's life. Simply asking, "Are you doing okay?" might save someone's life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. And Mr. Murray, again, you have the deepest sympathies of this board and all of Maricopa County, and thank you for your courage for coming here today and expressing such an important message. And to County Attorney Mitchell, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all that you and your team does in the interest of protecting victims from domestic violence. All right, well, now we will move to our pet showcase. And for those of you who are frequent viewers of the Board of Supervisors meetings, you'll know that we have been doing this remotely since the beginning of COVID. And so now we're going back to our old tradition and being joined by one of our friends over at Animal Care and Control. So Kim, great to see you here in person. And not over the not over webinar.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys in person, actually meet you guys. So thanks for having us, and thank you for having Brute. He is 98 pounds of love. He's got a pretty fitting name.
There we go.
There you go. The whole class can see. He is a huge couch potato. He's been in our shelters since August 25th. For the last couple weeks, he's actually been in foster care, which is great because now we know things about him that we might not have found out in the shelter. Like he does a little tippy tap dance when you're preparing his food. Obviously, he's food motivated. He knows sit and shake, and he sleeps all the time. He'll play with a toy, but mostly he just wants to hang out with you on the couch. So if you need someone to watch Netflix with, Brute's your guy.
Well, thank you. And for those of you who can't maybe see this on the webinar, he has candy corn bandana, and we can start that age-old dispute over candy corn. I'm personally a big candy corn fan, so I know this is talk about controversy, but I think that's fantastic.
It's a vegetable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. From our resident
right.
egg expert here. So wonderful. Well, again, thank you. This is great to have you guys back here in person. Great to see Brute. And again, encourage everybody to head on over, support Animal Care and Control, make a new friend, and bring them home because, you know, unfortunately, we do have a lot of our furry friends over there right now with everything that's been going on. So again, thanks so much for being here, and great to meet Brute.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There will be no workman's comp payout if you hurt your back with
Yeah,
that.
that's right. and we do have our attorney here.
Yeah, there's our risk management over here.
All right. Well, Madam Clerk, do we have any announcements or corrections to the agenda?
Chairman, Supervisors, I do have a few. First item is item number 17 on page 21, the Ville Apartment Townhomes. Applicant has requested continuance to the November 16th, 2022 formal meeting. Item number 18 on page 23 has been withdrawn. And item number 95 on page 53, easement right-of-way and relocation assistance documents. Item B listed on this agenda is being removed, so this item, the entire item B will not be considered in the vote. That is all I have. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking us through that. And now, it's back to you again, Juanita. Now, if you could please read for us the Domestic Violence Awareness Proclamation.
Yes, thank you. Whereas domestic violence is an epidemic affecting Americans in all communities, regardless of age, gender, sexual orientation, economic status, race, religion, or educational background. Whereas domestic violence is a pattern where one partner uses their power to control the other partner through physical, sexual, emotional, or financial abuse. Whereas the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention reports that nearly 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men and 1 in 2 transgender and gender nonconforming individuals have experienced domestic violence in their lifetime. Whereas last year in 2021, 94 people were killed in domestic violence-related homicides in Arizona, 74% of which occurred in Maricopa County, according to the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence. Whereas enhanced education, prevention, and intervention efforts will increase public awareness and confront the abuse of power and control in interpersonal relationships. Now therefore be it resolved that the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and encourages all citizens of Arizona to support the efforts of organizations providing education, outreach, and support to victims of domestic violence, and calls upon citizens to dedicate themselves to ending all forms of violence and the abuse of power in relationships. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading that proclamation. And now I'll turn to my colleagues. Okay, Supervisor Galvin.
Well, I'll go ahead and
okay.
make the motion. I was looking to my supervisor over here, but I'll make the motion that we approve the proclamation in front of us in regards to Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
And I'll second.
Thank you for the motion and the second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, once again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for placing this on our agenda. And thank you, Mr. Galvin, for his comments. And I think our gentlemen has stepped away, but my condolences to him and his family. This is an issue that is near and dear to the hearts of many of us here in Maricopa County. We have seen this proclamation come in front of us, and I think it's important for us to continue to remind folks. There are folks walking down our hallways right now that are in tough situations, and they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, they don't know what to do, and as our guest speaker indicated, they're just looking for someone to reach out to. Chris Arizargan, my office, my chief, has been on the coalition to end sexual and domestic violence for 8 years. She just stepped off after 8 years of service on the coalition. She was the one that continues to remind even myself that we got to do more. We got to do more, Steve. And so we have done a lot over the last few years, but I know we can even do more in terms of bringing awareness and reaching out to folks that are in these difficult situations. In the past, we've always had our coffees, which were very successful. You know, every Friday of October during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we will have that coffee stand with pastries. And as employees were coming in, they'd be able to get a donut or so and a cup of coffee and actually talk to one of the providers that we had stationed there. And the thought was someone who's in a tough situation, and let's remind ourselves, it's not just physical or sexual abuse, it can be emotional abuse, it can be financial abuse. I mean, there's all different ways that folks can be hurt. But the whole thought was they would pick up a card and hopefully make a phone call when, you know, later on in the day. That was our thought. And we've changed it up a little this year. With the help of Chris and Dave, they have organized a luncheon on this Thursday, the 20th, which is National Wear Purple Day. But we've invited, we limited space, but 120 employees to come, have lunch, and have an open discussion on domestic violence. What is it? You know, what should folks look out for? If there's someone in the audience that is in a tough situation, hopefully they can reach out to one of the providers or a coworker or someone that can help them out. But the luncheon is going to be this Thursday. You all are invited to hear some testimonials, folks that are survivors of domestic violence, giving their experience, and having a real informal but educational discussion on domestic violence, to be just blank and honest about what domestic violence is and why we should continue to remind folks. Here in Maricopa County, we light our building purple every month, similar to the city of Phoenix. And I remember the very beginning when we were lighting our buildings purple, it was Phoenix and Maricopa County were the only two buildings. Now, as you even go down Washington, you see the state Supreme Court is purple. You see the Capitol purple. Even in my own district, I was driving down Tolleson. I saw the Tolleson Police Department purple. I see the City Hall in Tolleson purple. And I would venture out to say that many of the municipalities throughout Maricopa County are doing the exact same thing, which is so important because it reminds folks that this is a devastating issue that we need to really continue to reach out to folks and do everything we can to help those that are suffering, and how do we get them into a safe environment. So with that, Mr. Chairman, a special thank you to you for allowing us to have this proclamation. Special thanks to Supervisor Galvin for having a survivor come in, for the most part, a survivor who lost a loved one, a daughter, through this, and be able to share his story. It's important for us to talk about. It's important for us to share those stories and have these type of dialogues. And I think not only tomorrow, but as we go on even throughout the year, we continue to have this discussion. But nonetheless, Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing this forward, and let's continue to reach out to our 13,000 plus employees to make sure that they are safe and well.
Well, Supervisor Gallardo, thank you so much for those comments, and especially your comments about the way that a lot of the municipalities have now come alongside, and businesses as well. And I give you great credit for this. As long as I've been here on the board, you have really led this board on this issue along with Chris, and we're really grateful for that. That's what it takes. And again, this issue, sadly, with COVID, with the lockdowns and everything, it actually got worse. And so, but hopefully out of that, we can have more awareness of it. And as we have more awareness on mental health, I think that can help to start to address it. And I would echo your comments too. I mean, just very powerful, Supervisor Galvin, to have your constituent join us. And he turned to me during a break here as we were going from one item to another and mentioned that this gentleman just lost his daughter just a year ago. And so to come in here and to let us hear his message is really extremely powerful. So again, I want to thank you as well, Supervisor Galvin.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing, and to mention as well, we're even reaching into the schools. I mean, where you have young folks that are starting to date and seeing folks that they love, and there are some young folks in high school that are facing domestic violence type relationships.
Yeah, that's a great point. Other comments from my colleagues? All right, so we have a motion. Oh, Supervisor Sellers? No. Okay, sorry.
Wear purple, everyone.
Yes,
Wear purple
yes,
tomorrow.
absolutely. Right. Yes, wear purple day tomorrow. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Again, thanks. And again, Madam Clerk, thank you for really a beautiful proclamation. We're very grateful for that. Okay, moving on now to planning and zoning hearings consent agenda. 6, Superior Tanks. 7, 8815 East Apache Trail. 8, Envirotech Group. 9, SR 24 RV Boat Storage. 10, The Flower Shop. 11, Northwest Corner 202 and Apache Billboard. And 12, Power and Rigs Commercial. Madam Clerk, do we have any registered speakers or comments received on items 6 through 12?
Chairman, Supervisors, we did receive 2 speaker forms for item number 7 in favor from Brian Vaccaro and Rodney Jarvis. They are available to speak only if necessary. Item number 12, we have George Pasquale, the applicant, in favor and is available to speak only if necessary.
All right, thank you so much. So the board will now consider items 6 through 12.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items number 6 through 12.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you for the second, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Continuing with planning and zoning hearings, consent agenda. 13, section of Apache and 202. 14, LCO, outdoor advertising, billboard digital conversion. 15, Arrington Outdoor, Scottsdale Road. 16, billboard conversion, SUP. Madam Clerk, do we have any registered speakers or comments received on items 13 through 16?
Chairman, Supervisors, we received one speaker form from William Allison in favor for item number 16. Is available to speak only if necessary.
All right. Thank you so much. So the board will now consider items 13 through 16.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 13 through 16.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so next on planning and zoning hearings, we have regular agenda 17, the Ville apartment townhomes, and this was the one that the applicant has requested a continuance to the November 16th formal meeting. So the board will now consider item 17.
Mr. Chairman, I move for continuance on item number 17.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, and the date, do I need to mention the dates also?
Yes, please.
The continuance, actually amending to the continuance to the November 16th, 2022 board hearing.
Okay, excellent. And you second that amended motion? Okay, perfect. We have a motion to continue and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Again, as was mentioned earlier by the clerk, number 18 has been withdrawn. So we'll move on to statutory hearings, continued transportation, 19A through E, road file declarations as listed on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any registered speakers or comments received on items 19A through E?
Chairman, none were received for this item.
All right, then. The board will now consider item 19A through E.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval items 19A through E.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Statutory hearings continued under air quality. We have 20, EROP case ES-2022-001- Maricopa County Transfer Station Green Waste Fees. Madam Clerk, do we have any registered speakers or comments received on item 20?
Chairman, none were received for item 20.
All right. The board will now consider item 20.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve item number 20.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman and Supervisor Gallardo. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under county officers, we have the Board of Supervisors, 21, resignation from the Deferred Compensation Committee, and 22, reappointment to the Merit Systems Commission. The board will now consider items 21 and 22.
Mr. Chairman, move approval of items 21 and 22.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we will move on to Clerk of the Board, 23, application for Boulder Creek High School fireworks display. 24, application for Leisure World Community fireworks display. 25, special event license for Front Runners and Front Walkers Phoenix. 26, temporary extension of premises patio for La Entrada Constables. 27, grant funding from the Constables Ethics Standards and Training Board. The board will now consider items 23 through 27.
Mr. Chairman, move approval of items 23 through 27.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, and Mr. Chairman, just a quick comment on number 27 is I never thought I'd be able to see something that would allow or make available ballistic vests for constables. Shows you how dangerous that job really is. It's starting to get really dangerous.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
No, absolutely. We are so grateful to our folks who are out there doing this work, and their safety is paramount, definitely, for this board. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under County Attorney, 28, grant funds from Office of Justice Programs. 29, agreement with U.S. Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration. 30, appointments and oaths of office. For the sheriff, we have 31 and 32, administrative corrections to exemption from markings and amendment to subgrantee agreement with Arizona Department of Homeland Security. The board will now consider items 28 through 32.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 28 through 32.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers and Supervisor Galvin. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Sheriff continued, we have 33 through 45 agreements, amendments, and MOUs with Arizona Department of Homeland Security, United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service, Boys and Girls Club of the Valley. 46 and 47, one-time additions to fleet. 48 aircraft storage permits with City of Phoenix Aviation Department. 49 through 50 donations. The board will now consider items 33 through 50.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 33 through 50.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have under the Treasurer 51 offers on tax deeded land parcel 502-51-002G. The board will now consider item 51. Is there a motion to accept one of the bids on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to accept offer number 2, which is the highest offer from Mr. Kevin Carter, it looks like, for $200.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that offer. Do we have, for that motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. So we have that for consideration. Is this a roll call? No?
Andrew, are we required to do a roll call on this, or are we fine with just the?
Okay, perfect. Just making
Thank you.
sure.
Just want to make
Okay.
sure also. Thank you.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to Kevin Carter. Under County Management, Assistant County Manager Leanne Bone, 52, American Rescue Plan Act Expenditure Approval and Budget Adjustments. 53, Maricopa County Workforce Development Board Member Termination. The board will now consider items 52 and 53.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 52 and 53.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under County Offices, Air Quality 54, Agreement with the Regional Transportation Authority. Animal Care and Control 55, Kennel Permit for Cooks, Calves, and Labs. 56, Agreement with Maricopa County Community College District on behalf of Mesa Community College. 57 through 58, IGAs with City of Tempe. Under Correctional Health 59, amend the IGA with the Arizona Health Care Cost Containment System. The board will now consider items 54 through 59.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 54 through 59.
Thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we will move on to elections. Those guys have been a little busy of late. Number 60, appointments of the 2022 November General Election Boards. 61, Revocable License Agreement. Under Emergency Management, 62 through 63, Sub-Recipient Agreement with Securing the City's Jurisdictional Partners, and 64, Grant Funds from the Arizona State Department of Homeland Security. The board will now consider items 60 through 64.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 60 through 64.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
And-
Motion,
and
yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just real quick on number 60, the importance of these election boards. a lot of folks are involved in our elections, as we know, folks on both sides of the aisle, independents, everyone coming together to help this process. I know there are just literally thousands I think it's way in the thousands of folks that are participating in our elections. So kudos to everyone that participates, and anyone that wants to participate, by all means, they can just reach out to the county elections folks and offer their names.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. You're absolutely right. And we always, when we go out in the community now, we're reminding people that it's not faceless bureaucrats who are running this election. It's people who work here, all the time, and then their neighbors, their aunts, their grandma, that's who it is. And they're Republicans, Democrats, PND, and that's so important for people to understand.
And Mr. Chairman, thinking of that also, just for a moment on this revocable license agreement, I'd like to thank the Elections Department and County Recorder Richer and all the group. You take a look at how we've run into problems over these last couple years about trying to find places for people to vote. And looking at that lease, with that, I'm saying little amount of money with a very hot market means that Masteridge is providing a service to the county taxpayer by freeing up or a space like that in a time like this, so people can practice their civic duty. So I'd like to appreciate our real estate department and Masteridge for making these spaces available, because we're finding it's harder and harder to get places for people to vote. And so thank you to that company.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. You're right. They have been great partners, and there's a shift as we continue to add more voting centers, and so unfortunately we have like a lot of churches that aren't willing to do it anymore, or schools that aren't willing to do it anymore, and so to be able to reach out to partners like this is so important. I'm happy you mentioned that.
Yeah, and also the criteria on many of these locations you have to have a certain number of spots, handicap accessible. You have all these and then be able to, when you do vote centers, as we know, it's not just the one day. You're going a week, 2 weeks at a time. So thank you for all those facilities that have opened their doors to our democracy and allow us to use them.
Excellent. Okay. Did we take a vote? We did. Okay, that's what I thought. That was a little overtime. Overtime comment,
sorry,
but I'm
Mr.
happy you made it.
We're always willing to talk about elections.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. We'll move on to Finance 65, accept tribal gaming funds from the Gila River Indian community. 66, fund transfers and warrants. 67, capital improvement and other one-time funding reconciliation. Human Resources, 68, expand the county's employee discount program. 69, amend premium pay rates. 70, Maricopa County employee leave policy revision. And 71, market ranges. The board will now consider items 65 through 71.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 65 through 71.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisors Sellers and Galvin. For the motion and the second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under Human Services, 72, administrative change to recognize new owner and lessor. 73, amend competition and practicable agreement with Community Legal Services. 74, Arizona Department of Health Services licensing. 75, donations. 76, amend agreement with Diocesan Council for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. 77, IGA with the City of Glendale. The board will now consider items 72 through 77.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 72 through 77.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under the medical examiner, we have 78, amend Conrad 30 physician employment agreement. Under Parks and Recreation, 79, approve non-exclusive recreation trail easement. 80, amend the Department of Forestry and Fire Management invasive plant grant program. 81, donations. The board will now consider items 78 through 81.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 78 through 81.
Second.
Thank you. We have motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, under procurement services, we have 82, contract for MCSO District 1 substation renovations in Mesa. 83, term structural engineering and services facilities management contract. 84, contract with Danson Construction Flood Control District Southwest Service Center. Under public defense services, we have competition and practicable procurement with LAZ parking. The board will now consider items 82 through 85.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 82 through 85.
Oh,
It's not on.
not yet.
Not yet.
Next one. It's the next one, right?
Yeah. Sure. Okay, so do we have a motion and second? I think did.
I'll make a second.
Okay, perfect. Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Jack Sellers. Okay. Under Public Health, 86, administrative change to recognize new owner and lessor. 87, amend the IGA with Arizona Department of Health Services. 88, request for appropriation adjustment. 89, appointments to the Ryan White Planning Council. 90, revocable license agreement with City of Scottsdale. 91, partnership agreement with the Scottsdale Unified School District. The board will now consider items 86 through 91.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 86 through 91.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under Transportation, we have 92, participate in Transportation Research Board's Roundtable Forum and payment of annual dues. 93, bid and award for construction improvements on University Drive from Higley Road to Power Road. And 94, competition practicable with Quality Testing LLC. The board will now consider items 92 through 94.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 92 through 94 with a comment on 92.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you for the second. Supervisor Sellers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm so pleased to see our county continuing to participate in this important project. Having MCDOT involvement in this type of research will help our whole community in years to come. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the comment, and again, thank you for your continued leadership on all things transportation. So, with that motion and the second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, on transportation continued, we have 95 easement, right-of-way, and relocation assistance documents, and as the clerk mentioned, Part B was being removed. So with that, the board will now consider item 95 without Part B.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under setting of hearings, we have Planning and Development 96, Planning and Zoning cases. Under Transportation, 97, road file number A714. 98, road file number A715. The board will now consider items 96 through 98.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 96 through 98.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Sellers, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. As we move on to the consent agenda, we have 99 through 100 duplicate stale dated warrants. 101, secured unsecured tax roll corrections. 102 through 104, cancellation of election and approval of appointments as listed on the agenda. 105 through 107, civil penalty appeals for approval denial. 108, tax abatements. 109, delinquent property tax interest waiver. 110, donations to Parks and Recreation, and 111, 2023 meeting schedule. The board will now consider items 99 through 111.
Move to approve items 99 through 111, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ooh, I think I'm going to give that one to Supervisor Sellers.
I'm going to vote against the 111.
That's right.
I don't have any meetings.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On the next item, I am going to have to recuse myself, so I will turn it over, if he will accept it, to our Vice Chairman, Clint Hickman.
I would be happy to. Thank you, Bill. Okay. Item number 112, settlement resolution of property tax cases and claims. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo.
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. I'm trying to draw out my time, Mr. Chairman.
Should we explain our vote?
Yeah, why don't we?
Out there. We'll explain our vote for a while.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries, and we will slowly invite Bill back.
Call for
But it was a quick rain. I'm fine with that.
a motion to reconsider, Mr. Chairman. Stand back out there.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair.
Bet.
I appreciate it. Okay, Board of Supervisors addendum. Human Services, 113, carryover funds from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Under Public Health, 114, rescind Research Core Services Agreement with Vanderbilt University Medical Center and approve the revised agreement. The board will now consider items 113 and 114.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you for the motion and the second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Continuing on with Board of Supervisors Addendum Risk Management, 115, settlement of Daniel Charles Montez versus Maricopa County et al. Transportation, 116, settlement of Maricopa County versus Tala Albright Real Estate Holdings LLC et al. The board will now consider items 115 and 116.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 115 and 116.
Thank you, Supervisor Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we're going to recess as the Board of Supervisors, and we're going to convene as the Board of Deposit for 117, the 2023 meeting schedule. The board will now consider item 117.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we're going to adjourn as the Board of Deposit and convene as the Improvement District Board of Directors. We have 118, 2023 meeting schedule, 119 minutes. The board will now consider items 118 and 119.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve items 118 and 119.
Thank you so much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you for the second. Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we will adjourn as the Improvement District Board of Directors and convene as the Flood Control District Board of Directors. We have 120, appointment to the Flood Control Advisory Board, Floodplain Review Board, Board of Hearing Review. 121, acquisition of drainage basin. 122, amend the IGA for funding support of the Scott Avenue Wash Project in Supervisor Gallardo's Diamond in the Rough, Gila Bend. And 123 through 125 IGAs with United States Geological Survey and the Town of Paradise Valley. The board will now consider items 120 through 125.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 120 to 125.
Mr. Chairman, I second, but want to make a comment about number 121.
Yes, thank you for the motion, Supervisor Gallardo, and over to you, Supervisor Galvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This patch area has been causing neighborhood problems. Neighbors have been upset. It's a unique situation because this parcel is large, has a lot of tree cover, which some people have been exploiting and have been trashing. Across the street from a flood control basin, so this parcel fits right into the portfolio. It's an environmental hazard. It's been super nasty. So I want to thank Jen Prikorsky and Andy Linton for all of the hard work that they have done, the effort they put into this issue. We appreciate their efforts, as I'm sure the neighborhood does as well, so this area gets cleaned up and maintained. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Galvin. You know, we obviously, by our nature, deal with a lot of broad regional issues, things like elections, things like air quality, et cetera. But we also do neighborhood work, too. And this is a great example of that. So that's going to make a real positive impact for the people who live in that area. So kudos to you. Great work. And thanks, Jen, for your work on that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Under Flood Control District, we have 126, Resolution for General Policies Concerning the Financial Management of the Flood Control District of Maricopa County, 127, Non-Exclusive Recreational Trail Easement, and 128, 2023 meeting schedule. The board will now consider items 126 through 128.
Move to approve items 126 through 128, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hickman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we will adjourn as the Flood Control District Board of Directors and convene as the Library District Board of Directors. We have 129, the 2023 meeting schedule, and 130 minutes. The board will now consider items 129 and 130.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 129 and 130.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And now, last but not least, we will adjourn as the Library District Board of Directors and convene as the Stadium District Board of Directors. We have 131, 2023 meeting schedule, 132 minutes, 133 audited financial statements. The board will now consider items 131 through 133.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 131 through 133.
Thank you so much for the motion, Supervisor Galvin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo, for the second. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we will adjourn as the Stadium District Board of Directors and reconvene as the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. And we will go to item 134, which is public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have anything to report on public comment email responses?
Chairman, Supervisors, we received one email comment regarding animal care and control. This comment has been shared with all the board offices. We do have one request to speak from Mr. Blue Crawley.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Crowley, please come on up for 2 minutes.
This is in case they need me tonight.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're playing already tonight, aren't they? Wow.
Or not tonight, tomorrow night.
Or tomorrow night, yeah.
Well, I'll play for them tonight.
There you go. There you go. We like your chances.
Okay. What I have here is the document that went to the legislature. That, and I see in it where we really didn't fund anything of the bus, but then when I do look at the parts of the bus that they do have on here, it's all MAG projects, and it's for a new BRT, and it comes to $1.5 billion. And then there's one in here, also a MAD project, and it's Transit Asset Management Rail. What are that? And it's $1 billion. I'd like to find out. I'm going over to there after this meeting and going to see if somebody can explain it to me. But when I look back at Prop 400 and this little nasty document, now you don't go to the transit managers meeting, right? Okay, because it's not the level of what you need to do, because you do make the MAG one. You know, the importance of that being, well, I can just send somebody. That's the importance I'm seeing from this body when it comes to the documents and what's going on with it, because as I have in front of you, sir, tried to make sure that they're doing things like getting up to status quo of every stop has a shelter, but we don't have that in the document that you put to the legislature, because that's a part of getting the infrastructure there. But what it does have is that Litchfield Road in 2023, would you get one? I've got the manager's stuff from the meeting of last week, and it has proposed April 2023 service changes.
Okay, Blue, your time is up.
I'm just wanting to know, why isn't that one of the things there, since part of the Litchfield Road would be in county? Have a pleasant, and see you guys next 30th, but that's only informally.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. And now it's the time when we turn to the dais and see if we have any comments from up here. So I'll turn first to our County Manager, Joy Rich.
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Supervisor Sellers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was proud to represent our our Maricopa County at the County Supervisor Association Legislative Summit, along with our staff folks. Felt that it was a very productive summit. Very happy that I could be there. Also attended the Arizona State Sister Cities Board meeting recently, another very important organization that I stay involved with. But the main thing I want to talk about is we're spending a lot of time on how do we get a Proposition 400 extension passed. And without that, we don't have the funding to even continue our transit system. So we really are working hard on that, and because I'm the chairman of the MAG Transportation Policy Committee, I'm kind of one of the key people involved. So thank you.
Well, that's an understatement, if I've ever heard it. Thank you for your continued leadership, Jack. There's a lot of people who are very grateful for the leadership that you're exercising. Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real briefly, as I stated earlier, tomorrow is National Domestic Violence Awareness Day, so we're encouraging all our county employees to wear purple and to bring awareness in regards to domestic violence. We also are having our first luncheon. We opened it up for RSVPs and filled it up real quick, like within a couple days, had 120 employees RSVP. So we'll have our first luncheon with our county employees. Chris worked with the coalition to get a couple of folks to be kind of guest speakers, survivors, to talk about their story, give their story. So we're hoping to be a very informative luncheon. So if you have time, come on by and grab a lunch and meet some of our employees. We're hoping to do this regularly on many different topics. They have a beautiful room. We're going to utilize it, Joy. I promise you, we're going to utilize it to really engage our employees on a number of key health and wellness type issues. But looking forward to it. And then this weekend was Phoenix Gay Pride. We were out there. It's been a while because of COVID. They haven't really had the festival. Unfortunately, it rained. It poured. It wasn't even just a rain, it was pouring. And that festival is one of the largest festivals that at least I participate in. They normally get anywhere from 40 to 50,000 people there. Folks from all over, even folks from out of town come to that festival. It's just a well-organized festival. Phoenix plays a great role in it as well. Yeah, we were there on Saturday, and it rained a little. It rained, and thought, okay, we saw the worst of it. And then around 5 o'clock, we saw the storm. It just hammered. I mean, everyone was like huddled underneath their little tents, and folks were scrambling, trying to find places to hide. But hey, we survived it. We came back the next day, and everything was muddy, and just trying to walk around. But it was a great festival, and long and behold, just next to us was the county recorder's office. And they were out there registering voters, informing voters, engaging people there at the festival talking about elections, answering questions. I mean, they were doing just a great job. They hunkered down even through the storm. They didn't give up. It's really easy to just pack up and say, I'm getting out of here. It's, they held in there, and they did. It was funny. I was joked at. I said, how, did you take care of the voter registration forms? And they complained, oh yeah, we kept those dry. So they did a great job. So kudos to their county recorder's office for being out there, bearing the storm. But it was a great festival at the end of the day, and had a great time engaging folks and talking to them and sharing what we do here in Maricopa County. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you so much for that report on all your active involvement in the community. And I'm happy you mentioned the rain, because I was in a meeting in Moon Valley yesterday, and one of the folks told me that they've gotten 6 inches of rain in Moon Valley this summer. And guess what? The flood control structures of the flood control district have withstood all this. And again, nothing happened, nothing bad happens. People don't say anything, but we really need to acknowledge our folks with the flood control district, and I mean how they're protecting. One of those during that part of the 6 inches of rain was a 100-year storm event in Moon Valley. So,
no, I was going to say no. The log cabin Republicans were there. I went to go introduce myself. They were there talking to folks at the festival, so it was great to see them as well. As I call them, the rational ones, but nonetheless, they were there.
That's great to hear. All right, Supervisor Galvin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Once again, I just want to thank my really good friend Brian Murray for coming down here, not only doing the prayer and the pledge for us, but also sharing his daughter's story. And when you wear a purple tie, a purple shirt, or purple ribbon, it's symbolism, right? And people wonder, does it do anything? Does it really mean anything? But it does. It shows people out there who are suffering at this point that we care. We're thinking about you. We may not know you, but we're praying for you. But it's also to remind folks that there's resources out there. And if you are working with one of those resources, you can let people know, hey, we're here to help. But if you know someone who needs help, let them know. And as Brian said to us today, just ask, are you okay? And I want to congratulate Mr. Gallardo on working hard in his office for that lunch. It's going to be a great success, and it's a great service to people who work here. And then I just want to quickly say about elections, since the election is now underway, as one candidate calls it, election season, not election day, I just want to tell our election workers, thank you. Volunteers, thank you. There are now reporters from around the world that are paying attention to how elections are conducted in Arizona and Maricopa County. Reporters from Switzerland and France and Japan, they're all paying attention, calling in, and they will be flying in. So just want to remind everyone to be responsible, to be careful, but also I want everyone to be safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for those comments. Vice Chair Hickman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Murray, what a way to start a meeting like that. And we need to hear these types of testimonies. I have a daughter and a wife, and we're blessed. We should all, if we don't have abuse in our families, we probably do know somebody, as Supervisor Gallardo said. But because we're so blessed, it creates happiness, and happiness means you have room in your heart to help somebody else. So I'm going to reflect a little bit about my experience with. Through the pandemic, our family was blessed to house, feed, and have a wonderful female inmate work crew for 18 months, 153 female inmates. And by the time 18 months goes by, you know a lot of their stories, and so many of these stories, they're in prison because they suffered abuse. So many. Maybe at their family, maybe it was their father or mother, maybe it was a boyfriend or husband. And so many said if they could just break that cycle before they commit crimes to support that abuser. So, let's go out there and look for it, especially all of us that have not been touched by that, and say, sometimes these people just need a friend to step in and say, hey, there's services available. You need to break that cycle. Because it might not be breaking the cycle for the person that's our age, the wife or the mother. It might be breaking that cycle for the daughter or a son that's watching this in their families. So if we can just catch that in families, in the family setting as a friend, maybe we will keep that person from abusing themselves, abusing others, and being a part of our jail and prison system. So with that, let's all go out there and do a great job, because we're blessed and happy because we all have jobs. We all have a place to work, and we don't have to take it. So let's get those people out of those situations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. Just a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First of all, we've started doing press conferences now on a weekly basis with the County Recorder, Stephen Richer. There is, to Supervisor Galvin's point, so much interest from the media, so much out there on social media that we just thought it'd be a good opportunity on a regular basis to address the questions that are coming up. And I'm really grateful to our media. There's been great attendance at these with many excellent questions. So we'll be doing another press conference today on the 10th floor at 2 p.m., and we'll continue those up and through the election. And then finally, I'm very excited to announce that I'll be doing my November coffee chat in the district at Ecstasy on Shea Boulevard, just to the west of, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, no, they do a great job over there. And actually, I had Supervisor Galvin come to one of my coffee chats here at Ecstasy. So we'll be doing it again November 1st, 8 a.m., and we got a couple headliners. So we will have our County Recorder, Stephen Richer, as well as Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone. So an opportunity to, of course, talk about the election, but as well just to reassure people of the safety as people go out through election season and participate. And just grateful to the partnership. The one county approach that we hear is definitely in full effect, and I think this will be a great illustration of that. So hope you can join us. Come get some great eggs and other things from Ecstasy on November 1st. So again, thank you to everyone who really helped focus us on the issue of domestic violence today. As you can tell, the county is committed to fighting it in every way that we can. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.